Hello Internet, it's me Josh, the Aging Gamer. So, one of my favorite video game series of all time, Super Smash Bros. Turns 21 in America this year. Where I come from, why that's old enough to have a drink. So, let's celebrate. In the year 1999, I was a kid obsessed with Nintendo and my Nintendo 64. Lots of awesome games were getting released on the system, but my mind was blown by the likes of Super Smash Bros. Popular video game characters from a variety of series put into a single fighting game? That was unheard of. At least with Nintendo characters, and a lot of these characters were coming out from really high-profile games. For you younger gamers who weren't there at the time, you don't realize how crazy this was. Seeing these characters together was like seeing all the Avengers unite for the first time. It was epic! Fast forward 21 years, and the series has become a juggernaut, with the latest entry in the series, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, becoming the best-selling fighting game of all time. But now let's rewind back to 21 years ago, when the series first started. How is the original game? Does it still hold up? Let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Super Smash Bros. So Super Smash Bros. Is a fighting game like no other. Signature Nintendo characters put into fighting game form. It's funny to think at the time of release, this was only Nintendo's third major home console, and a lot of these series represented in the game would evolve so much from here on out. And you know what? Let's take a look at that roster. First off, there's Mario, the character that doesn't really need any kind of introduction. At this point in time, Mario was just coming off his epic Super Mario 64 adventure. In this game, Mario is a great all-around character and is easy to use for beginners. Also appearing as a secret character is Luigi. His moveset takes a lot of inspiration from his brother, and it's great to see him here. Next we got Donkey Kong. DK was pretty popular at this time too. The Donkey Kong Country trilogy greatly boosted DK's popularity, and shortly after Smash Bros. Was released, he'd see his big N64 adventure, Donkey Kong 64. In this game, DK is a big powerhouse, just as he should be. Up next we got the hero of time, Link. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time released a few years prior to Smash, so anyone who wasn't already a fan of the Zelda series would definitely be at this point. Because I was obsessed with Ocarina of Time, Link was my go-to character here. He's great for fighting up close, and with his boomerang and bomb attacks, he's great for long-range battle. Then there's Yoshi. At this point in time, Yoshi's story was already released, and Yoshi went from Mario's animal buddy to obnoxiously cute dinosaur. He can throw eggs and flutter jump here, and can even swallow you and turn you into an egg if you're not careful. Now we got Fox McCloud. The Star Fox series wasn't any more popular at any time than during the Nintendo 64 era. Star Fox 64 was a must-have game, and fans love seeing Fox here. Fox is fast, shoots lasers, and can reflect certain attacks back at you. He's pretty brutal in the Smash series. Then there's Kirby. This pink ball of cuteness had quite a lot of games before making his appearance in Smash. His most popular were the likes of Kirby's Dream Land, Kirby Superstar, and Kirby Pinball. His ability to continuously jump and then suddenly slam down on the ground made him a popular character in this game. He's also got his signature copy ability where he can set you up and steal your attack, and he's just so goddamn cute about it. Next, there's Samus Aran. I'll admit, prior to Smash, I wasn't familiar with the Metroid series at all. I remember watching my friend play Super Metroid once, and I remember seeing this robot-looking character in gaming ads, but I didn't know anything about her. Today, I love the Metroid series, and Samus is my main in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So thank you, Smash Bros., for getting me into the series. This bounty hunter's last appearance before this was Super Metroid. Unfortunately, this series would be the closest we'd get to a Metroid 64 game. Now let's talk Pikachu. When this game was released, Pokemon hadn't even been out for a year in America yet, and everyone was just creaming their pants for anything Pokemon related. Pikachu was an obvious choice for Smash. For some reason though, Jigglypuff of all Pokemon was added as a secret playable character. It never made any sense to me. I mean, not any of the original starter Pokemon? Or the uber epic big bad Pokemon Mewtwo? I suppose due to the popularity of the Pokemon anime, Jigglypuff made sense, but if that were the case, then wouldn't Meowth have bigger priority instead? Nah, oh well. Like I said, anything Pokemon related at this time was welcomed with open arms. One of the other secret characters was Captain Falcon from the F-Zero series. Despite F-Zero being a Super Nintendo launch title and its sequel F-Zero X releasing before Smash came out, Captain Falcon was still relatively unknown by the casual gamer. However, due to his awesomeness in Smash, what with his badass Falcon kick and his cocky show me a moves, he won over a lot of people. He's strong and fast in this game too. He's pretty deadly. And last but not least, we got Ness from Earthbound. Let's make it clear, at this point in time, Earthbound was not popular whatsoever, despite so many people now saying Earthbound was my favorite game as a kid. I'm calling bullshit on that because the game sold poorly and no one knew who this character was at the time. I remember all the kids at the schoolyard assumed he was some kind of Pokemon trainer. It's crazy to think now of not knowing Ness was from a game called Earthbound, but this was over 2 decades ago. Times were different. I know the game had its cult following at the time, but to the average gamer, Ness was probably the oddest addition. With that said, Nintendo must have known they had something special with the Mother series and decided to put him into the game. I believe due to his participation in Smash, it got more eyes on the series. And that's all of our playable characters, a bunch of Nintendo All-Stars! And Jigglypuff. Masahiro Sakurai, the director of the game, stated that he did want to add more characters like Bowser, King Dedede, Mewtwo, and Marth, but due to time constraints, they did not make it in. However, they did make it into later games, so that's pretty cool. I remember back in the day, my friends and I would discuss, all the different characters we would want to see. We'd want to see Sonic the Hedgehog, Banjo-Kazooie, and Cloud Strife. All those characters made it on in. However, it did get kind of annoying because everyone was like, oh, well, what if Tony Hawk made it into the game? Or Spider-Man, or that T-Rex from Jurassic Park, or how about the piano from Super Mario 64? Listen, not everything needs to be in the Super Smash Bros. Series, okay? So anyway, let's talk about the gameplay. There's no HP bars or anything like that. In fact, Smash Bros. Takes inspiration from sumo wrestling. To win, all you have to do is knock your opponent off the stage. Beat up your opponent and you'll see their damage percentage go up. The higher their percentage, the further they fly back, thus making it easier for you to knock them off the screen. Every character can jump, shield, grapple and throw, and do basic attacks. Every character also has 3 of their own unique special moves, typically inspired from their games. It's pretty cool and absolute fan service for players of those respective series. Items can also appear on stages too. You'll see the likes of bombs, beam swords, and health items. You'll also see some pretty crazy weapons like the hammer, which is almost a guaranteed kill if you get hit with it. There's also my favorite weapon, the Pokeball. Throw it to release a random Pokemon to attack. And unlike later games, I feel the Pokemon are fair in this game. In Smash Ultimate, I hate Pokeballs because the Pokemon themselves just take over the stage. Here, you have to be almost strategic on when and where to release them. If you don't like items though, if you play over 100 versus mode matches, you'll unlock the ability to customize items to however you like, turning them off completely if you want. There's 9 stages in the game. Well, technically there's more like Battlefield, Final Destination, and the Meta Crystal stage, but those are only seen in 1-player mode. But out of the stages we can choose, let's start with Peach's Castle. It's a fun stage with a lot of moving platforms. There's the Congo Jungle stage, which is a basic stage with a chance of a barrel catching you at the bottom. There's Hyrule Castle, which has a bigger area to fight, and there's occasional tornadoes that can swallow you up and spit you out. But I don't remember those from any Zelda game. We also got Sector Z, the biggest stage in this game, where you fight on top of the Great Fox and mini air wings occasionally come down and shoot around. There's Dreamland, a Battlefield-like stage where Wispy Woods blows you around. Then there's Yoshi's Island, which is pretty big, but the clouds disappear if you touch them. There's Saffron City, where you fight on the rooftops and Pokemon occasionally come out to say hello. Then there's Planet Zebes, where you'll see acid rise and fall, hurting you pretty bad if it makes contact with you. And last but not least, there's the Throwback Mushroom Kingdom stage, where there's just all sorts of fun. And that's all the cool versus mode stuff. Just get a bunch of friends together and just beat the shit out of each other. It's a great time. However, if you are mostly a solo player like myself, there are a few one-player modes to go through. There's a one-player arcade-style mode where you'll fight through the majority of the Smash roster. Beat up Yoshi, take on the Mario Brothers in a tag team match, brother. Fight off a giant dick, and you'll even fight a Polygon team, have a mini boss fight with Metal Mario, and then have a final boss fight against the wretched Master Hand. It's a fun little mode that doesn't take too long to finish, and it's also where you'll unlock most of the secret characters. Outside of this mode, we got Break the Targets, where your goal is to break all the targets. We also got Board the Platforms, where the goal is to, well, board the platforms. These are actually really fun modes. Each character gets their own special level too. It's great because not only is it a fun break up from fighting, but these levels almost act as tutorials on how to use that specific character. There's also training mode, sound test, and even some character bios for you to mess with. So in a nutshell, that's Super Smash Bros. 64. It's great, it's fun, but is it really worth going back to? To make a long story short, no. To make a short story long, after putting days worth of hours into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, coming back to the original game, I can really see its flaws. First off, going to the Nintendo 64 controller, it just feels so clunky. I never had a problem playing with this grappling hook looking controller back in the day, but as time goes on, I do find the Nintendo 64 controller to be more and more unconventional. But it's not just the controller. The game mechanics in Ultimate have improved so much since this game. We now have 4 specials instead of 3. Something as simple as air dodging is just non-existent here. The controls overall just feel so sluggish. The game isn't unplayable by today's standards, but it's just not as fine-tuned as what we got now. Which isn't the game's fault, this was the first of its kind. Other issues with the game would have to be its content. The 4 secret characters can easily be unlocked within an hour if you know what you're doing. The stages in this game are great, but man, I wish there was a bit more variety. This is the only Smash Bros. Game where there's actually more fighters than stages. Characters like Ness and Captain Falcon don't even have a real stage of their own. And speaking of characters, the roster is fine, but with only 12 characters and versus mode matches having up to 4 characters in a match, you'll be fighting the same characters quite a bit. And only 2 real match types is kind of a letdown too. You either have time battles or stock battles. But, you know, it's a product of its time. It was setting a foundation that would grow into better things, so it's hard to hate this game for its faults. And like I mentioned, I love the break the targets and board the platform modes. It would be a dream if Ultimate was able to do some kind of update where every character got their own set of challenges like that. I also like the scoreboard in the single player mode, seeing what cool bonuses you can get during a match, like finish a battle with a Pokemon getting the KO, or finishing the match within 30 seconds, or just posing as the match ends. It's pointless, but it was fun regardless. With all this said and done, going back to play the original Smash Bros. Is a fun little nostalgic trip, but every game just improves so much that it's hard to get my Smash fix here. Like most games, if you get a bunch of friends over and play some 4-player matches, you can still have a lot of fun, but in the long run, you're better off playing the newer games. Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64 will always have my respect though for the hours and hours I sank into this game as a young kid. I had a blast fighting my friends, and I'll always remember all the good times my brother and I had playing. This game definitely laid a foundation and started something special, something that can't be imitated no matter how hard others will try. And because of that, the original Smash Bros. Will always have a special place in my heart. This game's winner is... But these are just my opinions. What do you guys think? What do you think of the original Super Smash Bros.? Let me know in the comments below. If you want, go ahead and give this video a like. If you want, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. I thank you guys for watching, and until next time, I will see you all later.
Congratulations!